Heathen here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Casey, or hashtag, or Heathen, or whatevs. But today's video is going to be more on the serious side. It's going to be on fatphobia. It's something that I've dealt with, that other members of my family have dealt with, my friends, and it's something that's really pervasive in society. Even things that seem innocuous to say are not the compliments that you think. But I am going to issue a trigger warning, so if talking about fatphobia, body shaming, eating disorders, if any of that will affect your mental health, you can skip this one. Please take care of yourself. That is what's most important. But for the rest of you, let's get into a demonstration. Knock, knock. Hey, Casey. How are you doing? Oh, hi, Karen. I'm fine. How are you? Fine. Are you sure? I'm asking, well, about the, depression and anxiety. Oh, that. Well, I'm doing what I can to get through. You know it's not healthy, right? What? Well, depression. I mean, nobody can have depression and actually be healthy. It's just not possible. Well, I am in therapy and I'm taking I just think that there's so much more that you could be doing. I mean, how good is your therapist if you're in therapy and you still have depression? Maybe you can talk to them about being on different meds. Karen, I really don't think this is any of your business. Oh, I'm just trying to help. Depression isn't healthy, and it's going to affect all the areas of your life. I mean, how can you expect to get a job or a relationship or more friends like me with depression affecting you? Wait, so you think I shouldn't have access to those things because I have a mental health issue? Well, yeah, duh. I mean, you should be pushing yourself to see more improvement. I'm only caring about your health here. I mean, you can't use the word healthy when you have depression. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are people with depression that are healthy, but they appear to be okay, so it's okay that they use that term. Wait, what? Yeah, like that one singer. I don't know, I forget her name, but she looks great, so she can use the word. Wait, so because I look unhappy at times, I can't use the word healthy? Yeah, I mean, depression. Duh. You just have to think happy. Really, it's not that hard. Think happy? It's not that simple, Karen. Look, I'm in therapy, I'm on medications, I'm working on my mental health state. That is healthy. No, it's not. And you saying this is just celebrating depression. I mean, really, you're glorifying it. What? Yeah, it's gross. How am I glorifying depression? Like, I'm not going around saying that depression is good and that everybody should have it. Well, you're making it seem like it's okay to have depression. And I mean, medical evidence shows that it's a disorder, which means there's something wrong with you. What? Okay, are you saying that if something is wrong with somebody, then they should be down on themselves? I think that if you don't push people to truly be healthy, you're just avoiding the issue entirely. Remember, I'm not saying this to be mean. I care about you. Funny way to show it. But we're still people, and we still deserve to be respected and treated decently. Yeah, but you're not healthy people, you know? But the alternative is basically me ridiculing myself, diminishing my worth, and lowering my self-esteem. Like, just because I have a mental condition, is that what you want? Now you're getting it. You'll be better in no time. Talk to you later. So, that sounds like quite the unreasonable conversation to have, right? Intruding into someone's health is just never okay. Whether it's with good or bad intentions, that doesn't matter. Their health is their business. And if people don't do this with things like depression or diabetes or, heart conditions, why would it be okay to do with someone's weight? I'm not sure, but it's not okay. In essence, like, it boils down, that's the long story short. It's none of their business, and it's like, your health is your business and your doctor's business. That's that's the facts. And these people, I keep like wanting to go off on tangents, but I gotta stay here. So you might be asking what inspired a video like this. I was cruising around someone's channel named the Nappy-Headed Jojoba, or T, and I clicked on a video that she had titled "The Body Positivity Movement Was Hijacked to Celebrate Obesity." And people might hate me for kind of vehemently disagreeing with this video, as this is someone on here who's obviously much more prevalent than tiny old me. But I think some things need to be pointed out. And as they say, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. At any rate, I am also going to be attempting to do my makeup while doing this, so we'll see how that goes. I probably won't like spell out the products that I'm using and like hold them up as I'm going through, but I want to focus the talking mainly on this topic. This will be a multi-part video series. Well, it's not really a series. It's probably going to be 2 parts. In this one, I kind of address the things that she says in her video, and then in the next one will be more research-based and going over what studies have shown, going over the health at every size movement, and stuff like that. So this one will probably be harder for me to get through. To give you context, I had to watch that video over at least a couple weeks span. It's a half-an-hour video, and I just mentally couldn't handle it. And yeah, I had to break it up. I had to consider my own mental health in this. So just to give you an idea of how tough this has been for me. But at any rate, let's get started. So, and everything will be linked in the description too, where I can link things. But basically, she starts off the video saying that kind of what prompted her to make her video was a program called Thick Girl Thursdays. And it was a radio program that was asking for women who were 200 pounds or over to call into the program. She never actually says why. Like, she never says why he featured them. So, to me, that's kind of pertinent, because if it's addressing something such as fat phobia, you're going to want the input of people who deal with it all the time. And that makes sense. But I don't know. It's never stated what the purpose of the program is. She then goes into basically saying that the average height for women in America is 5'3", And this is when she she goes on to point out that the average height for a woman in America is 5'3". And she does say that at one point in her life, she was almost 200 pounds at a height of 5'4". And she says she's saying all of this because she knows what 200 pounds looks like on a woman of average size. And she says, it's not thick, it's not curvy, it is obese. Before we go any further, obese is a medical classification, okay? I know that weight is an extremely sensitive topic for many of us, including me. And she says that the term obese is used when someone has a BMI of 30 or higher. She does point out that BMI doesn't distinguish between fat and muscle. So some people can have a higher BMI and not be considered overweight or obese. But she does say that those people are few and far between. So she also says using terms like curvy or thick are avoidance, in my opinion. She then uses the example of Beyonce, saying that Beyonce is curvy, and it's okay for her to use that term because she looks attractive. And she said curvy has somehow become synonymous with or code for being heavier. I don't get that only people who look okay can use those terms. That's not... I don't think it's right to say what people can or cannot describe their bodies as. They are their bodies. And like you said, it's a touchy subject. She mentions how some of the women calling into the show say, but I'm healthy, and how that just is impossible. And what she is doing here is engaging in what's called concern trolling. And quick definition for that. So a concern troll is someone who is on one side of the discussion but pretends to be a supporter of the other side with concerns, which allows them to justify criticism as the result of worrying about you. I'm on your side, they say, but you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. It looks bad to some people. Not that I agree, but I thought you should know. And it is, as I said in the beginning, none of your fucking business. Even if you want to say, well, I'm couching it in concerns for your health, or, I'm just worried about you. It's none of your business. Again, we don't do this with diabetes or cholesterol or heart conditions. We're not like, hey, tell me your cholesterol. And if it's bad, I'm going to badger you because, that's not healthy. But from NEDA, which is the National Eating Disorders Association, they say your ideal body weight is the weight that allows you to feel strong and energetic and lead a healthy, normal life. And a body can be healthy across a wide range of weights. And they say when searching for it, charts, formulas, and tables may be a little misleading, and those tools should only be used under the guidance of experts. So a qualified expert such as your doctor. And even though she says, I can say this stuff because I used to be overweight, she's not a qualified expert and shouldn't be diagnosing or assessing people based on how they look. So she says that she's saying this not to be cruel, because again, she knows how it feels to be in that position, and based on BMI alone, she is considered to be overweight now. But then she goes on to say, well, it's okay for me because it has more to do with muscles for me. And she says, quote, so again, I'm not trying to be hurtful, but there is simply no way that a person can maintain health long-term, and in many cases short-term, when carrying around excessive amounts of body fat. It is a medical concern, period. More concern trolling. So it makes you seem like you're the bad guy if you're like, hey, can you not comment on this? Can you not assess my health, please? It makes you seem like you're the bad guy because they're just like, well, I'm just saying it out of concern for you. I care for you. I want you to be healthy. And I'm in a situation of a friend or family, someone you know, I can see how, like, it should be a given, though, that, you know, everyone wants everyone else to be healthy. So you don't have to say that. And again, it's just none of their business. And then she says it's a choice. So she then says that the body positivity is not only normalizing obesity, but morbid obesity, which I disagree with, but we will get into that. I believe that's going to be video number 2, when I kind of go over what the movements are, the leading movement in this case being the health at every size movement, and I address that kind of more so in that one where it's more information heavy. Yeah. So she then goes on to say that it's a choice, period. Being overweight is what she's referring to. And we're all just, quote, eating like shit and not getting any activity. This is another faulty way of thinking, because there are people out there who are overweight despite having a healthy diet and exercising an appropriate amount. It just, they exist, and it's more common than you would think. And also, science flat out says right now that there isn't proof that just having an excess amount of fat directly causes issue. Because there are those people out there who are overweight despite exercising and eating a healthy diet, which she says is the solution here for everyone. It's not. And there are a lot of factors that lead to excess weight. Some of those completely out of your control. So eat right and exercise is not a prescription for everyone. And they're finding that out through many studies, that this isn't necessarily the way to go for some people. A lot of people. Most people. So she does later mention that there are socioeconomic factors that contribute to excess weight, and she kind of waves it off and said that's another video. I did not find another video on those factors on her channel, which is fine. I mean, she doesn't have to explain those. But I found through my research that the socioeconomic factors that lead to an overweight person are actually more important than behavior. Like, that influences their weight more than behavior such as eating or activity. So, she then mocks the term fatphobic. So I know she'll never be watching this, but that alone is very telling. she said it's just a buzzword that she side-eyes. And she also says, but I guess, yeah, I am fatphobic. And she says, quote, yes, I have a phobia of having so much body fat that it is jeopardizing your lifespan. Now notice the pronoun switch there. First she says, I have a phobia of having so much body fat that it is jeopardizing your lifespan. But fatphobia means more than just the outright fear. We've learned this with terms such as homophobia, transphobia, and I've seen people do this with those terms. Say, oh, it's just a buzzword. You use it so much that it becomes meaningless. And usually they're complaining about that because they're being told that their actions qualify as these things. And since they don't want to address their actions and admit that they might be doing something wrong or hurtful or harmful, they instead attack the word. Ow. So she also makes a comment that she doesn't know how the body positivity movement kind of started, but just like I did for this video, she should have done research into it and exactly what the Health at Every Size movement says, what they hope to accomplish, relevant studies. She's making the false assumption that body positivity means people are just like, hey, we should all be fat because being fat's the best. Please be fat. Like, that's what she is assuming body positivity is all about, when it's not. And again, I'll go into more detail of the specifics of the movement. By the way, it started in about the 90s, but there was an association formed much earlier about like addressing the issue of people being harmful towards people like me. She said, quote, to remain obese, and especially morbidly obese, a person has to be engaging in behaviors that are anything but positive every single day. And here's where I know that she didn't do any research into this, because as I said earlier, multiple factors go into a person's weight. So you have genetics, you have metabolic rates. Like, for example, I did not choose to gain weight. It happened as a result of medication. And people don't sit around and say, you know what I'll do today? I'll become fat. Like, that's not what happens. And to say that that's what happens is being disingenuous. I'll be addressing like other factors that lead to and affect weight outside of the person's control when I go over the Health at Every Size movement. So not only do these multiple factors need to be considered when assessing a person's weight or the health of the person, but also the Heya movement or the Health at Every Size, it does not encourage people to gain weight or maintain an overweight status. That is not at all a part of the movement or, you know, the information that's out there about this. She does, to her credit, mention the cost of eating, but then kind of goes on to negate what she was saying, like the correct part. So she says, quote, I do think that the cost of eating reasonably healthfully is often exaggerated, especially when you break it down per meal rather than looking at the bulk cost of the groceries. How on earth can you ignore the bulk cost of the groceries? Like, that is the very thing limiting people in a lot of situations, is that they don't have the money to put down on the groceries to make healthful meals throughout the week. For example, say you need to buy potatoes. So I looked, a 5-pound bag of potatoes around here cost $1.99 for the generic at my store. But say you'll only be using 1 pound per meal. So that's roughly 40 cents per meal. But you can't go to the store and be like, I just want 40 cents worth of potatoes. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to front the $1.99 to buy the bag of potatoes. You can't just pay piecemeal like that. And I think when you brush that aside, that you're brushing the whole issue aside. You're ignoring the bulk of the problem. So she compares spending $45 at McDonald's to spending $50 at the grocery store and getting more healthy options. But, like, that's the problem, is that they don't have the $50. So sometimes all they have is the money to stop at McDonald's and get a $4 meal. It's just the facts of the matter, because, like, I don't know, she's like assuming that instead of people just not having enough money, that they secretly do have enough money, they're just spending it incorrectly. When in reality, like, the upfront costs are higher, and we can't ignore that. That has to be addressed, and sometimes just people don't have that, and I think it is a little bit privileged to basically insinuate that anybody can just, instead of going to McDonald's, go to the grocery store and spend $50. I don't know. But that's, again, my opinion. And she says, quote, "To me, the body positivity movement should, by definition, promote behaviors, lifestyles, habits that have a positive effect on your body. It shouldn't normalize or even celebrate obesity." Heya does just that. They encourage people to find the factors in their life that are leading to them being overweight and address or change the factors that they can, and find a way to get activity in a way that's not only available to them, but that they enjoy. And you might say, oh, well, it doesn't matter if you enjoy it or not, do it. Well, the thing is, people are going to be more likely to do something that they enjoy than something that they don't enjoy. The Heya movement also encourages what's called intuitive eating, which I'll get into later. So they do address exercise and diet, but they also acknowledge that that's not the only cause. And nowhere did I find in that movement that they're celebrating obesity. Just nowhere. Nowhere in the research. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but she said, "We should be focusing on behaviors and facts, not feelings, when it comes to what is actually positive for our bodies." But I agree, we should be basing this on facts. But the facts don't support her behaviors. Also, I don't agree that feelings should just be disregarded. Like, weight shaming leads to poor psychology, which leads to eating disorders, which are not good. And this has been documented. This has been proven. There are studies done on this, which I will go into later. She said people should love themselves at every size, but shaming someone does not promote love or acceptance. Like, you're basically saying, I don't accept you at your size, which has a huge impact on the person. And, I mean, if you want to ignore their feelings, that you do you, boo. But I just, like, empathy should prevent you from just saying that that's the way you want it. She said importance is put on motivation. She says, obviously, motivation is a factor. And she said people just aren't motivated to want better health. I don't know a single person that doesn't like the idea of being healthy. I just don't. Like, maybe those people exist. Maybe. I'm not saying that they don't. But every single person I know is, like, they want to be more healthy. Like, that isn't the problem. She does agree that society's beauty standard is messed up, which that's a great point to make. And she says that she hopes more body shapes are included in ads, but she said they have to have a healthy body fat. That we shouldn't be allowed representation in media because she views us as inferior. That's what it comes down to. She doesn't want to see people with bigger bodies. And like that's what people do with race representation. You know, the whole question, well, why do you need representation? It's important to see people like you in media. That's the only way we're going to get rid of this stupid fucking beauty standard that people have. That everyone has to be, you know, the European looking, thin, and, you know, tiny person, and only attractive, curvy people should be allowed. Like, I don't know. That got to me. And lastly, she says she's remaining objective in this because she was obese and now she's healthy. But the negative message that she is giving that are fueled by her distaste for people who are overweight, people like me. Now, I've actually been on both sides of the spectrum, the whole spectrum. So at one point, I needed a feeding tube because I was 92 pounds. Extremely underweight. Now I'm overweight, but I fully acknowledge that there is bias in this for me. And there is for her. Her fatphobic attitude is what fuels a lot of the narrative in her video. And I don't think that she's seeing that. I think she's missing that bias is there. So, while she thinks she's being objective, in my opinion, she's not. Excuse me while I contour my double chin. Look at pink. Alright, so now we are getting into like the more information heavy, the more research heavy portion of the video. I really thought this was going to be 2 parts, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been recording for like 43 minutes already. I just thought it was going to be a lot longer. I'm glad it'll fit into one video though. This is from the Health at Every Size community website. I'll have all of my resources and everything linked in the description, as well as her video if you want to see the full video. But basically, it is a movement called Health at Every Size, and it was started by a book that was written by Dr. Linda Bacon. And it's the book is titled Health at Every Size, The Surprising Truth About Your Weight. And here's an excerpt from that book that kind of describes the movement. We've lost the war on obesity. Fighting fat hasn't made the fat go away. And being thinner, even if we know how to successfully accomplish it, will not necessarily make us healthier or happier. The war on obesity has taken its toll. Extensive collateral damage has resulted. Food and body preoccupation, self-hatred, eating disorders, discrimination, poor health, etc. Few of us are at peace with our bodies, whether because we're fat or because we fear becoming fat. Health at Every Size is the new peace movement. It helps us recognize that health outcomes are primarily driven by social, economic, and environmental factors, requiring a social and political response. It also supports people of all sizes in adopting healthy behaviors. It is an inclusive movement, recognizing that our social characteristics, such as our size, race, national origin, sexuality, gender, disability status, and other attributes, are assets, and acknowledges and challenges the structural and systemic forces that impinge on living well. Nowhere in there are they saying that being overweight is good. So there was also a second book called Body Respect that was written by Dr. Linda Bacon, but also a Lucy Aframore. It lays out that the tendency is to focus on behavioral changes, such as calories or the type of food eaten and activity levels, but it doesn't account for the many stressors that people face that have put them into that situation. Lifestyle factors, they write, account for less than a quarter of health outcomes. Dr. Bacon goes on to say, quote, "No matter how you change your eating or activity habits, the factors that make up your life world, challenges like discrimination, stigma, job insecurity, poverty, and caregiver responsibilities will remain unchanged." And the two authors hope that by calling out inequity and working on changing the systems, that they can help create a fairer world for everyone. Quote, "On an individual level, naming and acknowledging the social roots of health inequities can help a person lighten up on the self-blame, realistically consider their life circumstances, and come up with solutions that best allow them to engage in self-care." Unquote. So addressing the fairness and inequity of society will have a much bigger impact on a person than whether or not they eat their veggies, as Dr. Bacon says. Well, these focus changes will help everyone. They are especially impactful for those who are being marginalized. My eyelids are so wrinkly. Let's be daring and do the pink on the outside.
I got my little house, I live in it. I got my little babe, I feed her. I got my little pills, I take
a new to me look. Do like a two-toned halo eye? I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. I'm okay with it so far. Anyway, so I went on to the website for NEDA, or the National Eating Disorders Association, and they define weight stigma, also known as weight bias or weight-based discrimination, as, quote, discrimination or stereotyping based on a person's weight, unquote. Now, this can lead to an increase in body dissatisfaction within the person, which is a leading risk factor for the development of eating disorders. Now, the sociocultural idealization of thinness, or the beauty standard, is the best known environmental contributor to eating disorders. Now, no one should be discriminated based on their weight, but we see it everywhere. We see it at workplaces, we see it at school, family, friends, random people on the internet, doctor's offices. And as stated on NEDA's website, weight discrimination occurs more frequently than gender or age discrimination. And psychological and behavioral issues such as depression, poor body image, and binge eating can result from weight stigma. These are very serious consequences that can arise even when people mean well in what they're saying or are concerned really. NEDA has found that those who experience weight-based discrimination, they also engage in more frequent binge eating, they are at increased risk for eating disorder symptoms, they are more likely to have a diagnosis for binge eating disorder, and victims of weight stigma report physicians and family members are the most common source of weight bias. Among family members, weight-based teasing and diet talk are linked to binge eating, weight gain, and extreme weight control behaviors. And weight bias in healthcare is another extremely important concern that needs to be brought up. Research shows that healthcare providers, when talking to obese patients, tend to provide them with less health information, they spend less time with them, and they view them as undisciplined, annoying, and non-compliant with treatment. And a problem with obesity prevention campaigns in the public, attention given to weight control has skyrocketed in recent years, integrating words like BMI, obesity epidemic, and diet into our national vocabulary. Since the rise of the National Obesity Prevention Program campaigns, the incidence of weight stigma has increased about 66%. The research is clear. Overemphasizing weight can encourage disordered eating and have counterproductive effects. And next I found a study that the title of the study is The Health at Every Size Paradigm and Obesity. Missing empirical evidence may help push the reframing obesity debate forward. And they delved into comparing basically HAES, or Health at Every Size, with the more conventional diet exercise type of attitude. And HAES is trying to shift the focus in waste management from weight-focused approaches to a health-focused approach. The movement challenges the following assumptions of traditional approaches. That adiposity, or having excess fat, promotes or poses significant morbidity and mortality risk, that weight loss will prolong life, that anyone who is determined can lose weight and keep it off through appropriate diet and exercise, that the pursuit of weight loss is practical and a positive goal, that the only way for people living with obesity to improve health is to lose weight, and that obesity-related costs place a large burden on the economic and health system, and this can be corrected by focused attention to obesity treatment and prevention. So it challenges all of those. Those are the standards that have been in place for a very long time. As an alternative, HAES proposes that we encourage body acceptance, we support intuitive eating, and we support active embodiment. Heya also provides techniques and tools for supporting health professionals in finding the root cause of the client's behaviors and focusing on the fact that not everyone responds to treatment in the same way. So the focus of any intervention strategy should be promoting a healthy lifestyle and evaluating success not necessarily on body weight or composition, but finding other ways to measure success. The Heya philosophy is relatively new, with most literature only starting in the early 2000s. As a response to lack of success from these traditional weight loss approaches, it emerged in the early 2000s, and its perspective says that these approaches are not only ineffective, but that dieting and restricting can lead to distress on the person. And if the person ultimately fails to lose weight using the Eat Less, Move More prescription, that can make the person feel like they aren't normal or that they can't be healthy unless they've reached society's approved body size. Or some person on the internet's approved body fat percentage. These feelings can further cause the person to be discriminated against and lead to disordered eating or excessive exercise. The study defines the main components of the Heya approach as intuitive eating, body acceptance regardless of size and shape, and physical activity for movement and health rather than for elite performance or to shape the body. So, intuitive eating, what is that? Basically, it means that the person doesn't use external cues such as meal times or certain events to trigger eating, but they focus instead on the hunger cue for eating and the satiation? I don't know. The fullness, basically, as the cue to stop eating. And it's thought to prevent negative body image and disordered eating when you focus more on those cues as opposed to certain times of the day. It was found that when women think that others are accepting of their body, they are more appreciative of their body. So this is positively related to intuitive eating. It was found that BMI did not predict a woman's body appreciation. However, acceptance from others and society did. The more they felt accepted, the higher their appreciation was, which shows a direct link to people. You know, you can have the opposite effect. So if women, and I know me personally, if people don't accept me as I am, it has a very negative impact on how I view myself. My self-worth, sadly, can sometimes be attached to this image, and that is something that they found that women do. They go on to say that, quote, in a similar study, body acceptance by others predicted an emphasis on body function over appearance, which then predicted improved body appreciation and success at intuitive eating. Beyond the body acceptance and intuitive eating, Heya interventions have been used with individuals with metabolic syndrome. And from this study, they say, quote, one study examined the effects of a non-dieting lifestyle intervention program over 3 months on metabolic fitness and psychological well-being among premenopausal clinically obese women. This approach was effective in reducing psychological distress and increasing cardiorespiratory fitness among those previously sedentary females, with modest, non-significant reductions in body mass compared with controls. The Heya approach improved psychological and cardiorespiratory fitness, even though these women have a metabolic syndrome. Like, that shows a lot in the power that this approach has over the Eat Less, Move More type of approach.
emotions flowing backwards, running up your sleeves. Like when your image stains my mind until my conscience bleeds. And still it's all I want. And still it's all I want. And still it's all I want.
That looks very purple. Not as much pink.
Never leave behind what got you through the struggle or what got you through the grind. It's on the rise, through the store, and I can feel it. It's slowly coming back to the core of good music. Back when legends were spitting, the shit was different.
It's something. Not sure what, but something.
Hip-hop, it started on some conscious shit, acknowledge it. Instead of getting caught up in these politics, makes you want to question where a lot of people's knowledge is. I guess it makes sense because we ain't promoting colleges. This is the generation that barely knows what homage is. Fighting flows and rhymes, man, they on some straight garbage. Yeah, originality is key and I won't be a part of it. Not much real left in the game. Short yada shit, been known to kill the game. That's why I had a scholarship. Been lethal with the words out of this world on some carnage shit. It's levels to the game. Keep your mode on default, never change in any settings. They grounded like asphalt. People selling out for riches just to get an applause. Instead of standing for something different, critical cost. I'ma talk about the shit that people choose to ignore. Cause these people just flexing, they ain't even trying to rap no more. You can never leave behind what got you through the struggle or what got you through the grind. It's on the rise.
Additional comprehensive Hays interventions that have been evaluated include a study showing that Hays group members maintained weight and improved metabolic fitness, for example, blood pressure and lipids, improved energy expenditure, eating behavior, and psychology, for example, self-esteem, depression, and body image. These improvements were also sustained at the 1-year mark as compared with just the diet and exercise group. Quote, the authors concluded that the Hays approach enabled participants to maintain long-term behavior change, whereas the diet approach did not. Although the diet group did lose weight, this was not maintained at follow-up. And these are the conclusions straight from the study. There is clearly a need for social change related to the acceptance of individuals regardless of body shape or size. The likely way forward may well be through extracting the most relevant and salient aspects of traditional and Hays approaches, but additional empirical evidence is needed. Moving away from weight-based discourse makes sense, particularly in the domain of health. However, where Hays may create additional social and political challenges is in its desire to remove weight entirely from the discussion. The reasons for this are understandable in light of the poor long-term outcomes of traditional approaches to weight management, yet doing so may serve to further marginalize those individuals who want support from the health system for weight management, especially those who suffer from health consequences of obesity and are unable to make the necessary behavioral changes without additional support. It is also not yet clear if the Hays approach alone can reduce weight stigma and bias at a population level, without broader efforts to change societal norms and attitudes. Although conceptual debate is critical, it alone may not be sufficient to inform policy and practice without further empirical evidence to address its current limitations. Rather than a debate that is polarized, we need to seek a common ground, working together to improve health and well-being for everyone. This requires stronger empirical evidence, for example, larger, more representative populations, and not only ideological discourse on which to frame the debate.
And oh, my love.
pulled from an article called What is Body Positivity from Very Well Mind. And basically the history of body positivity, the fat acceptance movement of the late 1960s is actually the start of the body positivity movement. The goal of that movement is to end the culture of fat shaming and discrimination against people based on their size or weight. I'm all for this. I think that, as shown in research, fat shaming leads to negative body image and, in fact, eating disorders, which makes things worse. In 1969, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance was created, and to this day they work to change how weight is talked about in society. So, the reasons for body positivity, as stated earlier, having a negative body image does not help those who are overweight, and it leads to psychological damage. Having a healthy body image, however, changes how people view their appearance. It even plays a role in how someone determines their self-worth. From the Very Well Mind website, quote, "Research has consistently shown that exposure to depictions of the thin ideal are associated with both behavioral and emotional symptoms related to disordered eating. It is not just exposure to these images that pose a danger. It is the development of beliefs that beauty, success, and esteem are determined by thinness. Studies have also found that when people internalize these ideas, they are more likely to experience body dissatisfaction and engage in unnecessary dieting." So, body positivity hopes that by helping people recognize how this thin ideal leads to a poor body image, that they will then be able to change kind of their acceptance of themselves and are more positive in their viewings of themselves. They will then help eliminate the negative body image, and it leads to better mental and physical health. From this article, it says, recent research presented at the American Psychological Association's 2016 annual conference indicates that body dissatisfaction may be on the decline. In the meta-analysis, researchers looked at over 250 studies involving more than 100,000 participants over a 31-year time period. While women consistently report more body dissatisfaction than men, the results indicated that this satisfaction has actually declined in recent years. And this may suggest that the body acceptance and the body positivity movements are having an effect on how women and girls view themselves. While it may be an uphill battle, increasing the representation of all body types in popular media may help combat poor body image. So, this research has actually shown that representation is needed, and not just of people with healthy body fat, as T suggested in her video, but all people of all shapes and all sizes. Also, you don't know the reason for the other person being overweight. It is not, as stated before, as simple as, oh, they're eating like shit and not moving. For example, I'm not in control of how much I move around. I'm disabled. So my chronic illness and pain determines how much movement I can get in one day. And others are going through this too. You never know who is just by looking at them. There are invisible disabilities out there, and these complicate matters such as weight. But why would it be okay then to shame anyone without even knowing like a damn thing about their situation? And even once you do, shaming is never the way to go. Research has shown that, and it backs it up 100%. Another thing that I can't do is adopt a more healthy diet. I need to actually avoid fruits and vegetables due to me missing a lot of my digestive organs. My body cannot break them down. So, and I've had people say, oh, but you're lying about this because I can't think of a condition that would do that. You're not a doctor and you don't know everything. So yeah. Like, I've also had people adopt this sort of thinking with my disability status. You know, oh, but you look fine. You know, I've seen your videos. You look fine. So, ergo, you're fine. Um, Listen, as I said, there are invisible disabilities out there. And of course, I'm not gonna like record myself when I'm, you know, curl up into a ball in bed. Like I'm not gonna do a video when I'm like that. So of course, you're only going to see the best face that I can put on in front of a camera. And, you know, there are those people that say, oh, well, if you can do that, you can do this, or you're not disabled, or whatever. Bullshit. Like, if you really want to, you can follow me in the bathroom to figure out why I'm fucking disabled. But other than that, you can take your judgmental issues and shove them somewhere. Like, you have no right to go off on someone regardless of what health issue it is. Like, period. You don't have that right. It is not appropriate. So Allie Get Real on Twitter had mentioned, can you mention how antidepressant medications can actually add water weight to the body, and it makes it more difficult not only eat healthy, but also heal if you're someone with an eating disorder. The sudden weight gain or loss can be jarring and affects how we're able to get meds. And yeah, some doctors see that a patient is overweight and they're hesitant to prescribe certain antidepressant, anti-anxiety medications because those can cause weight gain. Like, just think of not being able to get help for your depression because of your weight. Let that sink in. And the reason that I'm overweight is because of a medication. It was a sleep medication, and it made my appetite completely insatiable. Like, it didn't matter. I could eat until my GI tract was physically telling me no more, and my brain would still be telling me, you need to eat something. Like, it didn't matter how much I ate. So, yeah. And it's not as simple as not eating either. That hunger creates hunger pains. You know, it's also a trap that can sometimes lead to eating disorders within itself. And the pattern that I eat is probably considered binge eating. I have pain with eating, so I tend to put off eating as long as possible. So I don't start eating until the evening. Like right now it's 7:02 p.m. and I think I had a little bit of something at 4. But I typically don't eat before then. If I'm eating continuously throughout the day, small meals, which would be great for my type 1 diabetes. And before you get on about weight and diabetes, type 1 is not caused by that. I have type 1 diabetes because my pancreas is missing, not because I'm overweight. I was thin as a rail when I lost my pancreas. So yeah, in conclusion, fatphobia is something that is prominent in every walk of life, work, school, friends, and doctors, online, and as they said earlier, family members are one of the biggest sources of it. And it's even more popular, as we learned, than age or gender-based discrimination. So, like, treat people decently, regardless of their size. Like, don't be a giant fucking dick to people. We deserve respect just as much as anyone who's thinner. Stop concern trolling people. Like, it's none of your business, and you're not having a positive effect, even if you have well intentions for that person. As we learn, negative body image is created this way, and that leads to more problems with eating disorders. The Health at Every Size movement has made a huge impact on body image, as the numbers of women who have a negative body image is going down, as we saw. So the body positivity movement and the Heya movement have had a net positive effect. And remember, us cute fat babes are still people. And we are people who deserve to be able to have a positive body image. Like, I mean, I'm beautiful as fuck. So deal with it. But yeah, I mean, we're people. We deserve respect, we deserve decency, and we deserve representation, even though our body fat scores aren't what you want them to be. But yeah, so thank you all for watching. This is the final look. Turned out interesting. Yeah, so I know it was a long one, and it's a controversial and sensitive topic, but it's one that I think is very important to address, especially with the negative impact that the body shaming and the encouraging negative body image has on people. Our worth shouldn't be tied to our weight. It's that simple. Also, I want to include a quote that has helped me, particularly with online bullying. If they don't know you personally, don't take it personally. Chances are there's something in their life that's making them unhappy, and that's why they're being an absolute prick to you. So it's not your problem, it's theirs, and they don't mean shit. But remember, life can be shit, especially for some fat people out there. But let's get through it together. Keep hanging in there with hashtag. Bye! You can do this. Oh, hi Karen, how are you? And then you fuck up the first line. Oh shit, I'm typing. I don't need to actually be typing. Shit. Oh, that was goopy. Do you have to be shook up? Ugh! What the? Oh, this is a weird primer. I always said I wasn't going to talk about products, but it's very weird. We'll just put that in the bloopers section. It's almost like greasy feeling, which is weird because it's like a no pore primer, pore filling it's supposed to be. Makes pores and fine lines invisible. I always end up with like not enough foundation or too much foundation. So very high. Butterfly. Oh, dragonfly. I got the wrong fly. Oh, I have cat hair in my nose. I don't know if I got said cat hair. Once you have a cat, there's just hair everywhere. Research, and the movement challenges the following assumptions. Yes, that's a word. Yeah. Focus. Are you gonna focus on me? Dude. Focus. Focus. Oh, well, there you go. I just had to threaten it with the spatula. Loving is what I got. What's next? Oh, next is getting rid of whatever. got rid of it. Ugh. And remember, us cute fat babes are still people. People who deserve to be able to have potty